Hello, this is Theolyn with another episode of Bridge of Stars. Things are beginning to change rapidly. Obviously, I'm in the UK and I don't know where you are, but gradually around the globe, people are beginning to try and come out of lockdown cautiously, very cautiously. Here, where I am in Wales, the Welsh have taken a slightly different tack to the English, and so have the Scottish. So people are being very careful and wanting to get back and get the economy going, of course. And that's absolutely crucial for everyone's well-being for the future. So we're coming across our bridge of stars. We may be seeing the land on the other side of the bridge, but we don't quite know what it is. So today's card is Schin, which is about hope. And I've often thought that the little orb that goes off to the, is it the right or the left? I can't tell from here. That goes off to one side is like a candle moving us forward. And that represents the light. It's not light at the end of the tunnel for us because we're talking about a bridge here. And we have got the stars above us. We're not encased. We're not blocked in by the roof of a tunnel. I don't see it like that at all. But we are going towards something that's potentially enriching and potentially beautiful, more beautiful than it was before. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process as people realise through the lockdown that there's the possibility of breakthrough, breaking old patterns, dissolving old patterns gradually, but in this case, perhaps they've happened quite quickly and suddenly because of this enormous thing that happened just a few weeks back when, quite out of the blue, these unprecedented changes had to happen. So what do we hope for? What are we moving towards? Well, it's something that we are jointly creating. And of course, there are powers in the world, like governments, corporate powers, people who are wanting to get the economy right because they want to make money, but also because they do mostly want people to thrive. Some people will be willing to make money even if some people don't thrive. We have to think about that. Now, one of the big issues when people go through such major changes in social and political and cultural life, one of the big dangers is that charismatic leaders or leaders who have the power to manipulate the levers behind the scenes, they can present hope. They can present an idea of salvation. They can be, in that sense, magnetic for us to believe in. We can see what happened in the 1930s when the German people were in such bad economic straits, and the fascist leaders came to power because they could promise them something, and for quite a while they seemed to be delivering it as well. So we have to be very cautious when we buy in to salvation, buy into concepts of hope for the future that are presented to us, and we must identify in our own selves what our process would look like if it was leading us towards what we hope for. What do we hope for? I mean, if you're watching this, then you're probably on the same wavelength as me, and what we hope for, I could probably broadly say, is a global humanity where people are kind to each other. They don't trample over each other in the name of capitalism. and yet they're still willing to exchange goods and services. So we don't want to dismiss the systems that we have had in place entirely. Perhaps we want to adjust them so that they work better for more people, so there's no poverty, so there's no sickness, and the human race has the capacity to sort those issues. Whether getting through this stage of this virus will have taught us collectively some really big lessons, and that will help us move towards that improved situation for humanity as a whole, or whether it might pull back and tighten certain kinds of reins and possibly create a more negative scenario than we would like. So I'm never ever a doom and gloom person. I'm a very I believe in human power. I believe in the human power and agency to put things right for the collective of humanity. However, there is the possibility that on the way to that, we get the forward movement of positivity and then the pullback. And we have to hope that those aren't too extreme, so that there's a bouncing of and that it hits us in the face. So as we go towards coming off our bridge, we should be in ourselves, uniquely, separately, working towards our own goals and aspirations, our own purpose, what has meaning for us. But at the same time, we should be just keeping an eye on the whole scenario that's going on around us and identifying whether there are any contributions that we can make to that change. So many people during the lockdown so far have come out with inspirations and beautiful things, acts of great compassion and sacrifice. And there's been a feeling of being together in this problem. And it would be very sad if that togetherness was lost just because people are opening their shops again. So think about that. Think about what you hope for. Think about what you hope for, how it manifests in your own personal life and what you can do about it. But also think what you hope for the collective and what you can do about that. And take your time with it. Ask your guides, work with your guardian angel, or any inspiring inner work that you can do. And then you'll start preparing yourself for the new phase that's bound to come along quite shortly in most countries. And you'll be ready perhaps to go back to the shops instead of just shopping online again. But that sounds a bit frivolous, perhaps, and I just don't want it to be frivolous, because we're in a very serious stage of human growth at the moment, and we could take great advantage of it as long as we don't just start thinking, oh, I'd like it to go back to normal. We want what they call a new normal, which is enhanced over and above what we were doing previously. So identify your hopes, and when you're doing that, of course, what often comes back to you are your fears, because those are the contrary face, the mirror of your hope is your fear. So don't be afraid to write them down. Don't be afraid to write down your worst fears and then look at them and say to yourself, yes, but I have agency as a human being. I have personal agency over the way I do things, even though there are bigger forces at play within myself. I can take that power. Okay? Right, so let's have a look at Bridge of Stars. I found this one and it's just right for me. I don't know where you are, don't know what time you're watching this, but it was totally suitable for me when I woke up and saw the sunshine in my garden this morning. And in my garden, I have allowed all the grass to grow. Instead of getting a man come round with a strimmer, cut it all back, I've allowed it to grow. So I've got my own private meadow in the front garden and it's absolutely stunning. I love it. I don't think I may never cut it again. My new normal will be to have a meadow in my garden. So this is called Waking on a Summer Morning. Break out from your slumber. Throw off your sorrow. Ah, what you suffered, it was only a dream. Climb the hill and see how morning borders the night sky with purple. The stars grow pale, full of joy and reverence. The singing lark articulates the morning prayer. The shadows flee from the face of the sun, who begins her restless march of triumph. Lovely, the last word, triumph, the restless march of triumph. That's what we want to think of as we're going across the last stages of our bridge, a restless march of triumph. Stay joyful, many blessings, and goodbye for now.